Milagro responds to critics of her reporting on the Megan Thee Stallion Tory Lanez trial.
What y'all doing? Y'all, we got a limited amount of time. I'm about to be talking fast in a. Whew. What's up? Hey, twin. I'm finna tell y'all some. I need to do this. You was waiting on me? I want to say something. Earlier, I got on Twitter and I went off because I saw some different posts with some of the people who work for publications like New York Times and LA Times, whoever, all these different motherfucking platforms, and people feeling like they are more credible, than people like me. First of all, I don't give a fuck who you work for. Don't be mad at me because you got to clock in and you go right to it and nobody reads that. That doesn't have anything to do with me. You not getting the attention that you so desire doesn't have a motherfucking thing to do with me. Okay? That doesn't have any. You take your qualm up with your God. That don't have nothing to do with me. They sitting up here trying to discredit people like me when we sitting in the courtroom and be sitting in front of they. We are all sitting in the same motherfucking room taking the same notes. Who ain't credible when we sitting up in here? Now, when I'm giving you my opinion, that's my motherfucking opinion. But when it comes to who's reliable, we are all sitting up here writing down what the fuck is going on. Y'all asses is sitting up taking notes like everybody else. And then y'all could go sit up and compare and see what the hell is going on. So all of this person ain't credible, that person ain't credible, and all that other bullshit is just that bullshit. And I don't give a fuck. It's a whole bunch of sick, just stupid, really envious ass people. That's number one. Number two, NBC had already hit me up to let me know that they were about to run a story where people from Megan's side, take that how you will, people like Tamika Mallory, have given them statements talking about I'm spreading misinformation. Now, how many times has good been done? Did Tamika Mallory have something to say? Or do you only care when you have a vested interest in something? Tamika Mallory, aren't you the same person that showed up one day out of the whole goddamn time? Because I haven't seen you since Megan came in on. Kelsey is a black woman, correct? Has anybody ever seen Tamika Mallory stand up for Kelsey when she was being cyber by friends of people like Megan Thee Stallion that she came and sat in the room for? Did y'all see that? Or did you blink like I blinked and did we miss it? Have you been present to hear the testimony? Or are you sitting on the sidelines getting fed something? And then y'all want to talk about bias. Doesn't Tamika Mallory, doesn't she have affiliations and ties to Rock Nation? So wouldn't you have a vested interest in supporting Megan Thee Stallion? Would that be true? So who the fuck do you think you be talking about when you acting like I'm biased about how I feel about whatever? You sound dumb. You really sound fucking stupid. You're affiliated with Rock Nation. You brought your ass up there with people from Rock Nation, didn't you? Weren't you sitting next to Desiree Perez? And you came in there when Megan came. You have been supportive of her. You feel like she got and that is what you have maintained and gotten on your platforms, and that's what you have stood for, correct or incorrect? So you're talking to me for what? Oh, but you didn't talk to me. You had nothing to say to me. How many times did I walk past you? How many times did you look and shut the hell up? So at the end of the day, girl, I don't give a damn about you sitting up going to NBC or anybody else because you and whoever else feels a way that I'm getting a particular type of attention and you don't like it. See, what has happened is whoever the fuck, are upset that they're not the only ones able to sit up and relay information. That is what the issue is. So now that you have other people relaying information and other people listening and feeling a way about it and feeling moved and compelled to form an opinion that does not align with theirs, now they have a problem. Now, well, let's go ahead and talk to NBC about, her spreading misinformation. Let's go pull up some old ass tweets and talk about it and run an article. Yo, run your article, mention my name, and help me get my verification check. Thank you. I don't give a fuck about what the fuck Tamika Mallory said. Girl, you. Girl, the fuck. Now, anyway, let's get to it. I'm on a limited, clock, bitch. We got a short amount of time. So we about to get into it, and I'm gonna tell you some more shit. And if you want to get your news somewhere else, then take your ass up the road and go get it somewhere else. If you want to go to Nancy Dillon or James Quilly or whoever the you want to go to. And the craziest part is, I'm sitting right next to James Quilly as we sitting up in the courtroom, and he leaves the courtroom, and you called yourself trying to shade me? That's what you called yourself trying to do because you got called out? Is that what happened? You want me to show you my notes for what Kelsey said? They say I'm unreliable. They say I'm unreliable.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Bitch, I'm in there writing in that motherfucker like it ain't no tomorrow. They said I'm unreliable? Nah, bitch, I'm getting to the business. I know exactly what the fuck was said. Sit there like you was and shut the fuck up some more. And take your little notes and go about your motherfucking business. What the fuck do these people be talking about? Nothing. Anyway, let's get into some more shit. Day 5 in purgatory. So, we come in at 10:30 a.m. The jury, first of all, they wasn't in there yet. So the courts were like, look, the jury needs to know and understand Kelsey's immunity deal. Because we just personally do not feel like the jury got a full understanding of what the hell going on and what she agreed to and all that shit. So that they can properly assess the situation. And so the judge agreed with Tory people. And he just told them, look, submit the goddamn paperwork. And then there was an issue about, evidence that they had that they just felt like, look, y'all not following protocol. So that's like, what do you want us to do? The judge is like, what you want me to do? So he was like, eventually, because they went back and forth about that for a little while, we just going to have to figure it out. And we going to, you know what I'm saying? And he told them, y'all write something up and give it to me. And, tell me how you feel and da-da-da-da-da. Somebody just said something very important. Bitch, all y'all hoes is biased. If you formed an opinion. Okay? If you have formed an opinion, bitch, you're biased. If your opinion is not, I'm neutral, you're biased. If you have chosen a side, you're biased. If you're going to sit up and say, I feel like this happened, I feel like this person innocent and that person guilty, bitch, you're biased. So why the fuck I'm supposed to care about you feeling like I'm biased? The defense pulled up a picture of where the shell casings were located per this investigation. Per this investigation, y'all can't see the picture. The 4 shell casings was in a yard. Now, when you stop a car, don't you stop it in the street? Yes. We know for a fact that Quan didn't pull the car into the driveway. So let me tell you something. If Tory had over a window, it wouldn't be over in the driveway. Them shell cases wouldn't have been there, baby. So the man had to acknowledge that more than likely the was fired in that general area because 4 of the casings were in that general area. And they said, do you see this balcony right up here? And he said, yeah, I can see it. He said, if somebody was standing right there, do you feel like they could see what the hell was going on? Yeah. So they said, if you're looking for casings, can you tell me what a was fired? He said the pattern ain't really reliable, but it would eject near the firing. And so they said it was 4 in the same area. So could that be the spot, that was? And he was like, it's really not reliable. And so he was like, well, how many feet? Like how far could she go? He was like, it could go up to 18 feet away. He said the shell casings can go off like 18 feet away. And so he was like, and could this be an accident? And he was like, I'm telling you that it take 8.5 pounds of pressure to make that hell go off. And so he said, well, shit, don't kids be getting the fire in the. He said, look, it's like 8 pounds of pressure with this. He said, it's a double action. So he brought the shell casing picture up. And he said, did the shooting happen near this house? Now, this is what you need to get into. They asked the expert under cross-examination, did the shooting happen near this house? And he say, yeah. He said, you see that balcony? He said, is it fair to say that the shooting happened in this area? He said, yeah, like with 360 degrees. They said, have you seen fingerprints from the shell casings? And then, have you seen fingerprints from shell casings be lifted in cases before? He said, yes. He said, I've heard of it, but I ain't did it myself. But I do know that they sometimes have, like, taking, DNA from shell casings. They said, have you ever seen how police retrieve prints? And he said, yeah. They said, why do you use gloves? They said, for contamination purposes, DNA, fingerprints, and all that shit. All right. They was done with his ass. They bring up Randy Zapata, a criminalist, okay? He works with DNA. Ooh, I'm trying to hurry up. They said, did you obtain Tory's DNA? He said, yeah, I got a profile. They said, he said, I compared, the hand in the magazine, to his DNA. He said, from the magazine, after I did, research on it, I tested it, I have 4 contributors. He said at least 2 were males. Get into these numbers. One person had 62% DNA on their hoe. The second person had 26%, then 9%, and then 3%. Okay? They said, did the person that held it the longest or maybe fooled with it the most, would they have a higher percentage? He said, no, not necessarily. They said, now, when it comes to the magazine, was Tory excluded as a contributor on the magazine from that? He said, yes. Tory Lanez was excluded. His DNA was nowhere to be found on the magazine. This is what you put into it once you load up and put them, all right? So, let's get to the hand itself. Not the magazine, but the hand. They said there was 1 male's DNA on it, and the numbers go as follows, just like with the other situation with the 62, 26, 9, 3. 90%, 5%, 3, and then 2. That ain't on a 100 scale. What the f*** is them numbers? I don't know. Anyway, they said that was inconclusive. They said Tory cannot be excluded or included because they couldn't prove that his DNA was on the. They said, is it common to see complex evidence in profile mixtures, which means that multiple people handle something? They said all the test shows is that somebody touched it. So we checked the majority of the, for those things. They said, okay, done. Cross-examination. They said the magazine had 4 contributors, right? He said, yes. Tory was excluded from the magazine. He said, yeah. He said, if I load, into the DNA, my DNA would be on the shit, right? He said, yeah. They say if the used frequently, your DNA would be on it, huh? He said, yeah. He said, in this case, it was DNA on the casings. He said, Wayne, look at that. They say, if the is my gun and I hold it, load it, and shoot that bitch 5 times, do you feel like my DNA gonna be on it? He said, yeah, more than likely. So they said, you have 0 evidence for my client's DNA on the magazine. He said, yeah. He said, is my client excluded from the... Could you say that my client had that? He said, can you say that my client touched that? He said, no. No. They told me to go to rehab. I said, no. Kelsey said Tory woke up and said, hey, big head. She said he whispered it. Girl. Redirect. They said, do you, no. They came back in and they was talking to the man. And he said, look, ultimately, I just do the damn report. And so he said, look, is there any evidence that my client touched the magazine or the damn? He said, no. Now, this is the get you gotcha. They said, do y'all have any samples for Kelsey? Do y'all have any DNA samples for Kelsey that were tested up against this weapon? No. He said, did y'all request DNA from Kelsey to test it on this weapon? They said no. So let me get this correct. Y'all don't know what the fuck happened out there, but y'all know a gun was fired. But y'all put all y'all eggs in Tory basket and wanted to accuse him immediately. So much so that the LAPD, with more sloppy ass work, decided, let's go ahead and test Tory for residue and DNA. And we're going to test Kelsey for residue. Did y'all think that maybe she wouldn't have it? And then around and found out it was on her hands? And nobody ever tested nor requested that she get, DNA checked or swabbed so that they can compare it against the... Does that make sense to you? Is that logical to you? Does that sound like, any type of police department that's trying to seek the truth? Because what they're supposed to be doing is investigating. This all happened today. So I'm just trying to understand how this was ever balanced. I'm trying to understand why nobody's having a conversation about how the LAPD has cut corners consistently And every time y'all cut a corner, it was to make Megan's case stronger. But let me continue on. I can give you 5 more minutes and that's it. And then we'll have to go over that other shit. We come back at 3:40. Okay, we had a little break. They pull up somebody for the defense because they scheduled. They took him out of order because the prosecution has not rested, even though they need to take a long slumber. Oh, Instagram giving me a timer today. Oh, thank you, bitch. So anyway, let me get to the get you gotcha. I got 1 minute and 49 seconds. All right. This man was a forensic scientist that talked absolutely too fucking much. He put me to sleep a couple of times, but I was listening though. But you can tell that he loves what he does. And this man is really a pioneer in terms of DNA. I was actually taken aback and really on some like brain shit. Like, you a cold piece. Like, this nigga is one of the people that helped to create the way that we analyze DNA today when it comes to that being tested and used in cases. So that is monumental. Like, that nigga didn't get a Pulitzer Prize or some shit. I don't know. That shit crazy. But anyway, we got 1 minute and 9 seconds. They said, based on the DNA analysis, that what can you tell us about it? You know, based on what they did. They said that they did the DNA testing on the and Megan. I mean, on the and the magazine. I apologize. They said, can you explain what the LAPD concluded from the hand? He said that they said that they had DNA from 4 people and that one was a male. 45 seconds. They said, so at least one male was there. He said, yeah. And he said, but there was female DNA on the motherfucker. Listen. Let me bend this page so I know where I'm at. I'm gonna come back and tell y'all some more shit and get into it. But to me, that's some of the most important shit right there.
Thanks for tuning in to 9 Mag TV.